This is the Bob Cordaro Show on TV.
They fought for us, now he'll fight for you. The pursuit of justice and liberty. It's the Bob Cordaro Show on TV.
And now, Bob Cordaro.
Great good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. My name is Bob Cordaro, and this is the Bob Cordaro Show on TV. I'm a native son of this region, born, raised, and returned. I've practiced law, started businesses, run for political office, won and lost. I've lived and worked in New York, Washington, D.C., Philly, and L.A. You may recall I'm the guy who spent 8 years and 5 months in federal prison, 11 different ones to be exact. Lately, some of you have become aware of me as a daily radio host on WWII, where I carry on every day about this great area and this amazing country. When we watch the insanity of our leadership class, elected and self-appointed, we worry for ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, our friends, neighbors, and this place we call home. And we worry for our country and this world, which is being torn apart by people who care more about their power, privilege, and the control over you than they do about the people they're supposed to lead, protect, and help succeed. And what about all of you? What is it about this part of Pennsylvania? I've been around you and know you all my life. You're great workers, innovators, business people. You're the best of mothers, fathers, friends, neighbors, and human beings. You are the greatest patriots, soldiers, citizens, and Americans. You are America. You deserve better, and you need a voice. I tried to do it in politics, and I failed. Politics beat me. But I will still speak on the radio every day and now on TV once a week. The people from this area have provided a sterling example to the country that faith, hard work, perseverance, and the spirit of America can overcome all. Each day on the radio and each week here on TV, we will tell those in charge, we are better than that. We deserve more. You will not hold us back any longer. You will not crush our greatness as Pennsylvanians, as Americans. It is our time. It is our children and grandchildren's time. It is time for our area to flourish and triumph, and you, our so-called leaders, have to get out of our way. This won't be like the radio show, however. That's the one I do every day. On WILK, we do a lot of politics, a lot of criticism, and a lot of opinions. For this TV show, we want to accentuate the positive, to feature those who have achieved and have, or want, connections to this region. So it's a whole different ballgame. The Bob Cordaro Show on TV. We hope you'll allow us to grow, to improve, and to bring you more and something better each and every week. Today, we have Dr. Bryan Frantz, a world-renowned periodontist who is from this area and practices here. He will define for us what he wants to accomplish in the weekly health segments he's going to host. And then we have our Power Brunch Player of the Week, Tony Julian, an unassuming factory worker and mailman. He served this country in the United States Marines in World War II. He passed away and was buried this week at the age of 100. I had the splendid opportunity not only to interview him on the radio this past August 22nd, but like so many people, I had the pleasure to be his friend for decades as he shared his wit and wisdom, but never his harrowing war stories with so many people as he touched so many lives with his humor, winning personality, and easy smile. As we replay Tony's part of the story, the interview also featured my friend Charlie Tanzis, another centenarian, World War II vet, and area native who, thank God, is still very much with us at 102 years of age. I think you're going to be struck, not only by Tony's experiences in war and in life, but by the incredible representation he provides of a nearly vanished generation of Americans. We are losing the greatest generation every day, every week, and every year at a cost to the rest of us that we cannot calculate. Tony Julian opened up for us talking about the awful combat in the Pacific Theater. He is and was history itself. So it's a sad week, but a fond remembrance of greatness. Greatness born by Tony Julian, not because he was famous or prominent, but because he was a man who did the seemingly ordinary so long and so well that it became extraordinary, a shining example for all of us. So with the help of God, our families, our communities, and each other, let us begin.
Dr. Bryan Frantz is an internationally recognized periodontist. He heads a multi-specialty dental practice in Dunmore and has consulted, lectured, and taught around the world in his chosen field.
Each week on the Bob Cordaro Show on TV, we're going to be joined by Dr. Bryan Frantz. He has been practicing as a periodontist for 35 years. He's got a multi-specialty practice in the area, and he has access for all of us. Give us a behind-the-scenes look and a history of medicine and healthcare in Northeast Pennsylvania. Bryan, tell us a little bit about your practice.
Sure. Thanks, Bob. And again, I'm excited to do this segment. I think it's going to be really a lot of fun, and I think we're all going to learn quite a bit, including myself. So I'm looking forward to doing it. Our practice is a multi-specialty practice here in Dunmore. We have my wife, Linda, as you know, is an internal medicine doctor. She practices in the same facility we do. We rely on her expertise to manage our medically complex patients. And we have another board-certified periodontist in the practice with me, Dr. Tom Langen. And then I have two of my daughters. Dr. Kristen Frantz is a double certified. She's a periodontist prosthodontist. And our other daughter, Andrea, is a board-certified orthodontist. So as you can see, we've got a pretty significant cross-section of experience and expertise here. I would be remiss, and I would get in a lot of trouble if I leave my youngest daughter, Gretchen, out. Gretchen, as you know, has just finished optometry school. She signed a contract with a local optometry group, and she'll be starting her practice here in July. So we're excited for her. We wish she could be in our facility with us, but she's doing her own thing, and we're happy for her. What I would like to do, Bob, with this segment, and what what I have planned is to, of course, talk about significant oral and medical conditions that we and our patients here in Northeastern Pennsylvania face. Provide information for our viewers on those diseases. We're going to talk about the technological advances and therapies that exist here, and who the experts are that provide those therapies for our patients. We are going to also look at some of the other unique healthcare facilities that exist here in Northeastern Pennsylvania. For example, Allied Services, St. Joseph's Center, the Wright Center, Scranton Primary. They play a vital role in our community, and I want to put a spotlight on those facilities and just kind of share with our viewers what they do for the patients and here in Northeastern PA. I also want to bring in community leaders that are actively engaged in advancing healthcare here in Northeastern Pennsylvania. So, for example, the dean of the medical school, a huge thing for our area, the medical school, and talk to her and where's the medical school going and get sort of a feel for the future. And so, and then lastly, I want to give credit to the pioneers of healthcare. We've had so many fantastic stories here in Northeastern Pennsylvania about individuals who have brought, cardiology, internal medicine residency programs, the medical school, et cetera, and to put a spotlight on those individuals and recognize them for their significant contributions to healthcare here in our area. So that's sort of, kind of an overview of where I'd like to take this. Again, I'm looking forward to it.
Ambitious and perfect for what we're trying to provide for this audience. Bryan Frantz, thank you very much.
My pleasure, Bob.
And now, the Sunday Brunch Power Player of the Week on the Bob Cordaro Show.
Just a couple of short months ago, I had the opportunity to interview Tony Julian. He passed this week, but we have him on record talking about his life, talking about his experiences in World War II and here back at home. How things change over the century that this great man lived. And we're going to play that for you now. We're going to show you Tony Julian as he was at 100 years old, just this past August 22nd, telling us about how he lived and what he thought. Tony Julian, our Power Brunch Player of the Week.
Tony, how about yourself? How did you come to join the Marine Corps?
Well, I didn't want to go in the Army, so I volunteered for the Navy. Once I got in the Navy, I didn't like it. They sent me to medical school, and I didn't like that. They sent me to a hospital to take care of the wounded from World War I. And it was working on bedpans and stuff like that. So I went to medical school in Portsmouth, Virginia. From there, I didn't like that. So I went to the captain. I said, I don't like this duty. He said, well, we sent you to school. It costs a lot of money. He said, we got to keep you in the medical field. I said, okay. He said, do you like to work outside? I said, yeah, I love them. I go pick up mushrooms. He said, well, we'll take care of that. After about a month or two, my name went up on the board to get transferred to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Fort Marine Region was forming. And they put me up there with the fort. I was one of the first guys in the 4th Marine Division. And we start forming the fort down there in New River, North Carolina, Camp Lejeune. And from there, they sent me to, what was it, Hadnot Point, I think it was, yeah, a different part of the Marine Corps. So they said, we got to assign you to something. They said, well, I'll tell you, I like the outdoors. I don't want to go aboard a ship or nothing. I just want to be outdoors. So they sent me down to, where was it? Camp Pendleton out in California. And there they send you to get tested to see what you were best fitted for. You know, what you did and all that. And it came out that with my test, I was best fitted for medical work. So they assigned me to the 4th Marine Division. That was the biggest mistake I made. I thought I was going to be on an island or something, maybe using a cookout, you know, and there I got attached to a rifle platoon. One corpsman likes to a rifle platoon. And I should have kept my mouth shut. Anyway, I went through 4 invasions. I'm talking about real combat, 4th wave. And what else did I do? Oh, Roy Namor in the Marshall Islands, Saipan, Tinian, and Iwo Jima.
Tell us about those islands. Now, you'd be coming on the LSTs.
No.
How did you land?
In the Marshalls, we did an LST. But they opened up in the front, and you got out the door, and I was with a 4th wave on every one of them, right up front with the guys getting wounded and everything. And I want everybody to know, I joined the Navy, but I was never a sailor. They call me a sailor. I had to wait a while. I'm a combat corpsman. You know, I never served any sailors or nothing. We had bad times.
Yeah. 4 different island landings you were part of, including Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
And you were shot by a Japanese sniper on one of those landings.
Right. On Iwo Jima, I landed on the 1st wave. I don't know if you're familiar with that. They had Mount Suribachi on the left.
Oh, yeah.
On the right, they all the caves there, they were dug in. And what they did, they put all the power on the right, where I landed in the 1st wave. That's where all the action was. and they were dug in like you wouldn't believe it. There was an airstrip there. But before we landed, they told us the night before we had to get a combat position to take in the island. If we didn't move in, they told us they were going to shove us in with their own boys. We needed a position there. So I landed on the first wave. Through the first day. The second day, we had to move in, had to push our drive. And I was dug in by the airport there. We had our, and it was early in the morning. I heard somebody calling for a corpsman. So, the guys with me, they said, you got to be nuts to go out there and take care of them with all the fire going on. But you hear this call, and it sort of gets into you got to go. I went out there, and when I got out there, I got right there at the end of the airstrip, and I got hit by a sniper.
Where did he hit you?
In the lower left leg. And I don't know how I got off, to tell you the truth. It's sort of a short stay, like you're sort of getting shocked. When you get hit, I knew I got hit, but I didn't know what part of my body got hit.
Yeah.
So they come up and they got me out of there, and they took me to a hospital ship.
Well, both you and Charlie were corpsmen, and so you saw. All right, I'll ask this question of both of you. We've seen maybe you've seen the movies, between the movies about the Pacific Theater and the movies about the Battle of the Bulge, Charlie. As we continue to talk with Charlie Tanzitz and Tony Julian. Tony, a U.S. Marine Corps medic. Charlie Tanzitz, a U.S. Army medic.
Well, I was listening to Tony there. That's very interesting. I learned something. makes the Battle of the Bulge sound like a disturbance. Yeah. Yeah, I talked to Tony about this before, so I knew exactly what he was going to say. Yeah, Tony's right up there. He was a line medic. Yeah, I have all the respect in the world for Tony. Tony was there.
Yeah. So Tony, you're hit.
Yeah.
And you're the medic. Who comes to get you?
Tell you the truth, I don't know what kind of a guy was, black or white. Somebody pulled me out. When the fire went down a little bit and slowed down, they pulled me out. They took me down to the dock where they had these landing docks. You laid it there, and they came with a stretcher, like half water and half out of stretcher, and then they pulled you out to the hospital ship. And I'll tell you the truth, the first couple of days it was like a nightmare, with all the bodies floating around in the water, and taking guys out and parts of body all over the place. It was terrible. It was a nightmare.
My God.
I still feel the backlash of it.
Yeah. So you get injured. You get shot on Iwo Jima. What after you're wounded, you're taken back. Do you get brought onto a ship, or what do they do?
They put us onto a hospital ship, and they took us to the island Guam, and we got an Army hospital or a camp. From there, they start shifting it closer to home, i.e. a Heights Naval Hospital. Then I wound up in, where was it, in California? Oh, no. Oh, you ever heard of the Naval Hospital?
No.
Oh, it was up in the where the pineapples grew.
Well, all right. So, Tony, when you mentioned 4 island attacks that you participated in, what was the worst? What was the hairiest? Which was the most violent of the landings?
Oh, landing, Iwo Jima was the worst. They were so close to one another. When we hit the beach on Iwo Jima, in the first wave, I saw these Japs coming up out of their caves. And I said to my corporal, I said, geez, I thought we were the first guys on the beach. And he said, we are. Them are Japs. Go for cover.
Oh, Lord.
As soon as I said that, he got whacked in the head. He got killed right away. So then after that, I went treating so many Marines there the first day. You don't know what was going on. But then where did I go from there? Don't forget, I forgot what I had for breakfast.
No, this is not a history test. This is don't you worry about that one bit.
Okay,
and I'm sure there's things you'd like to forget.
Yeah, but it's things I'd like to tell you too.
So both of you come home. We win the war. Were there differences in both, at least the way you saw things, when you came back from World War II? Let's start with you, Tony, Julian.
Well, when I was getting discharged, I was offered a government job because I had the disability. They put you first on the list. And I worked for Capitol Records like then. And
in South Scranton.
One seniority. I figured I'm going to go back there. I got my seniority. I went back there. Then they went on strike. They moved out of town. I'm out of a job. So I went back to the veterans and got a job at the post office. And that's where I wound up, where I met my wife in Scranton. Mm-hmm. And we went together for about 2 years. Before that, like I told you, there was a sailor in every port. I met this girl, and boy, she was a beauty. She worked at a pharmacy, and I had my Navy uniform on. Tried to make out with her, couldn't make out. Next night, I went there back with the Marine uniform. And I started talking. She said, were you with the Marine? I said, yeah. I said, well, how come you got both uniforms? I told her. So we got friendly. And she had a boyfriend that was in the Marines. And he was out in the Pacific. And we kept in touch. And when I come back, guess where I wound up? At Oakland, California. And she was up in Oakland, California. What a coincidence. So I got in touch with her, and we went out to dinner and everything. And she told me her boyfriend got killed
on
Saipan, I think it was, yeah.
One of the islands you were on.
So that was number 2 girlfriend. No matter where I went, there was always somebody waiting for me.
And the same thing for you, Tony, Julian. You knew you survived, and now you're coming home. What was that feeling like?
Well, it was a great feeling. I was in St. Albans Hospital for about 6 months as a patient, getting therapy and all that there. So I went to the doctor, and I said, I want to get out. He said, you feel good enough to get home? I said, yeah. He said, come up to my office. You have to sign a release. I went up to his office. He said, you got to sign this paper that you're okay. He said, you've been in a hospital so long. You got to come out with a pension. I didn't care. I signed it. Guess what? I got out. I got $10 a month for my combat. But that's it. So I signed out, and then I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Then about 12 or 15 years ago, I went down to VA. They gave me a test. And the doctor was a Marine Corps doctor. And he read my, resume. He said, "What did you fall through the cracks in the wall?" He said, "You should have got it way the hell better than you." So he got me I don't have to worry about the money now.
Well, that's a good feeling. Not quite the same feeling as surviving the war, but a pretty good feeling.
Well, he figured he said a hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
And he got me where I should have got it.
Well, I find it funny, Tony Julian, that you were injured in the leg very severely and became a mailman and walked the route for how many years?
15 years.
Wow.
But I had a sign a paper that I couldn't work more than 8 hours a day. I never worked overtime because it'd be bothering my resume. So then when did I get discharged? Oh, it's like February 14th. It was on. I got discharged in New York City.
You'd gone all across from Oakland all the way across to New York.
I went all over.
Wow.
I was in there for 42 months, and I was no longer than 42 months in any one place at a time. Mm-hmm. The 4th Division went through 42 combat battles, or not 42 combat battles. Every time you got signed to a different platoon or this, but you were in the same company all the time.
What do you have to tell the American people today, the people in Northeast Pennsylvania? What should they know from you, from your years of experience, Tony Julian?
Well, to get along with everybody, you just don't. Everybody has a good and a bad part of them. Just take in the good things you can find in them, the bad parts of them, push them aside, and that way you'll get along with everybody.
Yeah.
Your Sunday Brunch Power Player of the Week on the Bob Cordaro Show. Join us every week for the Sunday Brunch Power Player of the Week.
That was incredible. That's Tony Julian. That's the man we lost this week. I hope you enjoyed hearing from him and seeing him. This good and great man was lost to us, but now he's ours for eternity. Well, that's the show this week. Thanks so much for being with us. Please come and join us next week at 11:30 on WNEP TV, where we'll do the Bob Cordaro Show on TV.
Thanks for being part of the program. You've got an appointment every Sunday morning at 11:30 right here on WNEP TV, the Bob Cordaro Show on TV.
It's the Bob Cordaro Show on TV.